Hi, this is Dr. Darwin, the new dentist coach, with another episode of As Dr. Darwin on the New Dentist Coach Show. So be sure every week, if you're a subscriber to my channel, you will be getting episodes that are published automatically by turning on your notifications. But if you're not subscribing yet, please do. Dr. Darwin Speaks on YouTube, as I will be posting new videos and new episodes every Monday and Thursday. All right, so you don't want to miss out on those. And also, if you want to add content or ask me questions or be able to influence the content that we produce, be sure to send me an email right here at newdentistcoach@gmail.com. newdentistcoach@gmail.com. So today we're still on this careers in dentistry path, and today we've got a special guest who's a traveling dentist. So today, guess what? You're going to be learning on how to become a traveling dentist or a locum tenens dentist. So we have Dr. Melissa Williams here. Say, hey, Doc, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, good, good. It looks like there's a little delay. That's because you're so far away down in sunny Florida. I guess that's what happens when you're so far away. That's right. So thanks again for sharing your experience and your time. So tell us a little bit more about yourself.
All right. Well, I am from sunny South Florida. I currently live in Orlando, Florida. I attended Florida A&M University, where I got a bachelor's in health science, and then I attended Southeastern, where I earned my doctorate in dental medicine. After that, I joined the Army, and I served as an Army dentist for about 4.5 years. I got the opportunity to work with soldiers in all kinds of settings. I was on the forensic dentistry team. I also got the opportunity to run and manage a clinic. And after that, I just decided I didn't really want to commit to anything long-term after being in the military. So I decided to get into travel dentistry, and it was one of the best things I did early in my career. For those who don't know, generally travel dentistry is something that people do at the end of their career, so I kind of flipped it. But it was an awesome experience, and I still do it sometimes now. I work as an associate now, but I still do like to travel and just kind of get my feet wet in different kinds of settings.
Wow, travel dentistry. You're right. Most people will do it towards the end of their careers when they've maybe sold their practice, or if they've been in academics, when they're finished, kind of retired, just to kind of still keep these going and keep this going and keep this going, your eyes, your hands, and your brain going and stuff. So, how long have you been doing that for?
So I started while I was in the military. That's when I first learned about it. And it was just a great way for us to start transitioning into private practice, because military dentistry is very different from private practice. So I started racking up on dental licenses in different states around me. And once I got out, so that was about 2014, I just kind of went all in. I signed up with a couple of different agencies. You can also represent yourself, but I signed up with different agencies, and I just started traveling, going everywhere.
So what are some of the things that those agencies require, as far as maybe credentialing or to become a locum tenens or a traveling dentist? I mean, what do you have to have multiple licenses? Like how does that work?
You don't have to. It just depends on where you want to go, how much you want to travel. The nice thing about the agencies, and why I do like to work with agencies, is that they will do a lot of your credentialing for you. They also have the resources where they can expedite your license. So for those who have attained any kind of license, even the time of year matters when you apply. Sometimes if it's like summertime, it's going to take forever, but they're able to expedite your license. And it also depends on the state where you're applying. Wisconsin, for example, is always in need of dentists. And if you say you want to work in Wisconsin, they're going to get you a license. As long as, of course, everything checks out, you pass your boards, and, the typical things that you need as a dentist to practice anywhere. You'll need your DEA license in whatever state you plan to practice in. but they help you with all of that. So it's actually a very seamless process for the dentist because they just want you there helping and treating patients in areas where it's typically not as easy to get dentists to work.
So those contracts that you have as a locum tenens or traveling dentist, are those contracts a set period time, or all of them for like 6 months? Are they for a couple of weeks? How do the contracts vary?
It definitely varies. It varies a lot. First, you kind of let them know what you're looking for. There are some people that don't like to move around a lot. I was very flexible at the time. My husband also traveled for a living, so we both would just travel and then, find places to meet on the weekend. So I didn't really have any limitations at that time. So I would take contracts that were maybe just a few weeks. And it's kind of nice to start out with a shorter contract because you want to work somewhere where you're comfortable. If they like you and you like them, 9 times out of 10, they're going to ask you to extend, or sometimes they'll even offer you a actual full-time position. So it's a really great way to get a lot of experience in a very short amount of time because you're able to work in all kinds of settings, all kinds of patients, use all kinds of dental software, work with all kinds of staff. Like you really just kind of get fully immersed into dentistry like very quickly. So, you can really decide what you want to do. And if you're ever anywhere that you don't feel comfortable or you feel like this place is kind of testing my ethics or, I don't feel comfortable with this, you can always just call your agency and they support you. They will not leave you anywhere where you don't feel comfortable. So, your contract it is a contract, of course, but you're always going to protect yourself first. You're always going to make sure that whatever you're doing is, the quality of care, you're not cutting corners, and they're not expecting you to do anything that you wouldn't normally do in your own office.
Right, right. And you said protection is important. One of the questions we have from our Facebook Live community deals with malpractice as a traveling dentist. We got Dr. Frederick. She said, how does malpractice work when you're working in multiple offices? What's your experience been like with that? I mean, do you have to have a specific or a new type of malpractice insurance rider for that? How does that work?
So you just need to be very transparent with your malpractice, whatever company is providing your policy. I had an occurrence policy. That way I was kind of covered no matter where I went. Some companies do it a little bit differently, so make sure you really talk to them and read your contract. But as I would just update wherever I was practicing. So normally I was only in one office at any given period of time. I would call, let them know, now this is my current address. These are the procedures that I'm going to do. And then I would remain covered. So I always carry my own personal policy. Most offices, when you work with a larger office, they will provide a policy for you. But I think just in general, it's a really good practice to just have your own policy. That way, you're in control. No matter where you go, you're going to be covered. You're going to be taken care of. That's just a good practice in general in dentistry.
Right. So basically have your own, maintain your own policy, but at the same time be, in communication with your carrier. And then also you have it based on occurrences, because you'll be going to different locations where you may have, that fits the qualification.
Right.
Okay. Now, special training. Any special training that you have to become a traveling dentist?
You really don't. However, I think most people nowadays do a residency, or I would say just a lot of experience with extractions, a lot of experience with dealing with emergencies and trauma, things like that. Because like I said, most of the times where travel dentistry is really like a big market is in rural areas. That's where you have, just the pick of, wherever you want to work. So you have to think those areas, perhaps people are not going to the dentist as regularly, or they don't always have the access to care that you would have in a large city. So I noticed that, a lot of times it's just thinking on your toes, not panicking, just knowing how to handle different situations, knowing also when to say, this is, above me. But, I think that if you have a lot of experience with just emergencies and extractions, then you're going to do very well. Of course, you want to be sharp in your skills and restorative, crown and bridge, everything else. But those come into play depending if you have like a longer contract. If you only have a couple weeks at a certain office, they may not want you to, of course, start crown and bridge or, cross work. So that's something I would say you also have to kind of balance, is making sure that you are not losing skill in any particular area. You still want to make sure you're going to offices where you're able to practice and do the procedures that you like to do.
Right, right. So again, another plug for doing a residency, guys. There you go. Another reason why you should do a residency, so you get some more experience, more confidence in doing certain types of procedures, namely extractions. Like Dr. Williams said, as far as being in rural areas where they need dentists the most, that may be where you have the majority of your contracts or your opportunities to help out and to work. So, which leads me to your work schedule. What's your typical day like as a traveling dentist?
So your day, I would say it's normal. It's like working in any other office. Your first week though, normally is going to be you just getting acclimated to where you are. I think one of the most important things, if you're considering doing travel dentistry, you have to be the kind of person that you're very flexible, you're very resilient, and you just go with the flow. And that doesn't mean that as a dentist, you still kind of, you run the show. However, every single office is a little bit different. So you have to quickly be able to pick up, what is their flow like? How do the assistants work? How do I, go from operatory to operatory? You quickly have to kind of get into their flow. Sometimes you're able to improve it. Sometimes you're able to, leave your stamp in that office, which is pretty cool. But I would say you have to just kind of be flexible, and just be okay with working with different kinds of people, different personalities. Like I mentioned before, different computer software. I have to learn software very quickly, but now I can walk into any office and I can, just kind of dive in. So normally I choose contracts that are 4 days a week. I enjoy working 4 days a week, but that's just preference. There are many, especially if you work in community health centers or things like that, you're going to be working 5 days a week. Or you can do, I worked in Wisconsin at a place, I did 4 10-hour shifts, which was pretty cool. You don't see that much in dentistry. So that one was pretty cool. You really can control your destiny. And that's what I love about travel dentistry, is they really do try to make the dentist happy. You're going to do a service. Of course, you want to offer the best care possible, but they work with you a lot, and if you have certain travel needs, like there came a point where I needed to travel home on Fridays, as long as you're very vocal in the beginning and communicate those things, they normally will work with your schedule to make sure that, they're able to accommodate you.
Wow. So you really have to be flexible and be able to be, flexible and ready for just about anything. But it sounds like with that experience, you get to learn so much more about how offices operate, maybe even take some pearls from this office and that office, and get a lot more exposure to systems that they have in their offices, different types of practice management softwares that they have in their office. So there's a lot. It seems like there's a lot that you benefit from too as a dental professional, just being able to kind of be an expert in all those different areas.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why I'm actually surprised that many people don't do it when they first start practicing. I think when you first graduate, you're very anxious. Like one,
Right.
you want to start making money. You're thinking about student loans, and it's just kind of like, I need to sign a contract. I need to work somewhere. But
Right.
you don't even really know what you like yet. You don't really know what kind of office you like. You don't know what kind of case you like. You don't know even maybe what kind of patients you like to work on, because that's a big thing. So I really encourage new dentists to just, if you have the ability to travel, or even if you kind of keep it local within your city or your state, depending on where you live, there are more opportunities in certain states. But I really encourage you to get out and just, go to different places and really figure out what makes you happy and what you like. Because I do think in dentistry, you can get very burnt out. So if you don't love what you do, if you don't love the place that you're going to every day, it makes it very challenging. So I think more people should do it really when they start working, as opposed to at the end. But it's something that I don't think people know about. So I'm very happy that we're talking about this today because it's like a little hidden gem in dentistry.
Right, right. Well, that leads me to the next question, because for people to want to do it or learn more about it, they also want to know how you get paid. Because are you paid as an employee for 4 weeks or for 2 months, or are you pretty much like a 1099 independent contractor? Like, how does that work also?
Okay, so you're going to be an independent contractor, and that is something big to know. Okay. What that really means for those who may not have worked as an independent contractor before, you are responsible to pay your own taxes. You're responsible for your own health care. You don't really get the benefits that a typical W-2 employee would get. So, and to me, the big two are taxes and health care, or paid vacation also. But what that means is that you have a little bit more control, like I said, of what you choose to do, choose not to do, and you name your own. So one of the biggest things I think when we graduate dental school, we know our craft. However, we don't always know the business side of dentistry. And I had to quickly learn how to negotiate. I had to read books. I had to talk with, I think in particular, men are a little bit used to negotiating more than women. So I had to kind of like, get used to just playing hardball sometimes and negotiating the things that I needed, because I had to make sure that my salary was going to be able to cover healthcare and other things. And then also when you remove taxes, that it still was a good salary. Because at first the numbers may sound kind of nice, and then you realize, whoa, this is not that much. You've taken into account those things. So your salary is going to vary. Normally, if you're working with an agency, your agency pays you. And in your contract, it will say you're either going to get paid a daily rate, which that's what you'll negotiate, or you'll get paid a percentage. If you're working in an office probably for a longer period of time, you may be able to do a percentage. There are benefits to doing both, and some people prefer one over the other. If you get a daily rate, your check is more predictable, obviously. If you do a percentage, you have the potential to make, a larger check at certain times, but sometimes it might be smaller. And you also have that delay of if they're collecting insurance or things like that. So it really depends on your needs at the time. But no matter what, like I said, you have to be very responsible. When you get paid, you have to know, okay, this percentage is going into another account set aside for taxes alone. This percent is going here. You have to kind of just be in control of your finances. So I definitely recommend, like, if this is something you're going to do, having like a financial advisor, possibly setting up an S Corp for yourself or an LLC. S Corp is a little bit more beneficial, but that's probably a whole nother segment. But setting yourself up really that you are protected, but you're also getting the benefits of being an independent contractor and getting paid a certain way. Because typically that's not the way that you would get paid when you work as a normal associate. So you just have to be very knowledgeable, ask many questions, ask the people that have done it before, and make sure you know everything that's involved.
Yeah, I think you're going to have some phone calls after this segment, because it sounds like you're going to be our new leading expert in this area.
Yeah, I think so.
It's going to be a lot of questions. Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer a daily rate, or do you prefer the percentage? Just in general.
Oh, you know what? Surprisingly, I prefer the daily rate. I think if you can negotiate a good daily rate, you end up winning more of the time, unless you are in an area where, you're just booming, you're selling good cases, you're doing a lot of crowns, veneers, the good stuff. But it just really depends on where you are. And I think as long as you kind of know what your expenses are, you negotiate that contract, I think you win with a daily rate. But that's solely me, because I do like stability. Money. I like to go with if you are more of a gambling person, not gambling as in Vegas, but just you like to know sometimes I'm gonna have a really, really big check, sometimes I'm gonna have a smaller check, and you're okay with that, then the percentage can be good. But when you start having a family and certain things that you're responsible for, I personally prefer knowing exactly what my check is gonna look like.
Exactly. So so with that in mind, what's the range for those types of daily rates that you can expect as a traveling dentist, the low and the high?
Okay, so that definitely depends on location. Um, when you are in a very rural area, you can negotiate more. So speaking as a general dentist, where I think I've seen anywhere from companies trying to pay you $500 to $600 a day. When I did travel dentistry, I always made, I would say, at least 700 to 800 a day, and there were times 1,000 a day, which to me is more like a pedo rate. So but like I said, that requires time, that requires building, kind of people knowing your name and knowing, who you are and that you're going to give them quality work, and then also just kind of based on need. But a lot of it has to just do with negotiating really well. So in my opinion, like when I came back down to Florida and started working here, it's a very saturated market. There are 3 dental schools in Florida, and they will definitely try to pay a new graduate $500 a day, and that's really what you see. So you have the potential to make a lot more when you're doing travel dentistry, like I said, as long as you're flexible. But you do have to factor in, like I said, taking out taxes and any other expenses you may have. So $500 a day, maybe if you're a W-2 employee, might be okay. But if you're an independent contractor, you're really only walking away with a couple hundred. And you
Yeah.
have to always think that, like, once I deduct taxes, what does my bank account look like?
Right.
So there's a lot of potential there. And
Right. So it almost sounds like to me that if you're a W-2, you go more on the low end because you don't have to take the taxes out. And then if you're an independent contractor, that daily rate has got to go up, because otherwise, by the time you do take your own taxes out, which you have like 2 or 3 that you've got to take out, you're looking at a rate that's below the $500 rate. So again, I mean, I think for you, like you've mentioned, that one of the take-home points here is negotiation. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate. So it definitely
that
sounds.
is absolutely true.
That's true, right? So it definitely sounds like that's a skill that that most of us will have to be a lot more proficient in and be more versed in negotiating those contracts. And you do that typically with your agency. And because I'm wondering, because if I'm an agency looking for dentists, I have to fill a need, but at the same time, I'm sure they get a certain percentage of each of the contracts that they fill with traveling dentists. So how do you market yourself? How do you market yourself to make sure
Yes.
those agencies want you versus they want me? How do you market yourself to get to the top of their list so that when they have an opening, they call Dr. Williams?
So I think one of the things that's a beauty in our field is everyone a piece of the pie. Dentists are always in need. And you have to know that. You have to know your value. So, of course, if you first start with an agency, your first contract, they're feeling you out for sure. They're going to kind of just try to offer you like the bare minimum, and you probably will accept it, and you'll learn after that. It's kind of a learning thing. So, but once you start taking on different contracts and different offices are saying, like, the main thing you want is for an office to want to extend you, or can we have her, or can we offer her a position? When companies see that, they're going to be they're going to call you first when something pops up. So normally, I mean, there are seasons when there are more jobs coming up, and your phone will just be ringing constantly because they know, like, okay, if I send this person here, we're going to be able to secure that contract. You have to be able to interview well. You will interview numerous times, sometimes with 3 different people in a company, just depending on if it's a longer contract. So even just them knowing you interview well, knowing you're personable, knowing the staff likes you, they get all of that feedback, and that's what's going to make them keep calling you and work with you. And I'll share an experience. This is when I really realized I had to learn how to negotiate better. I took a contract. The pay was good. I thought it was fine. They normally pay for your hotel or wherever you choose to stay. And the one thing they did not want to pay for was a rental car. And that's a big expense if you're going to be somewhere for weeks and weeks. So I still just accepted the contract, and I started working. And I was working with another doctor from the same exact agency. And one day I heard him on the phone. He wanted to switch his vehicle. And he's like, hey, I'm calling. I want to switch my rental car. And of course, my antennas went up. I was like,
Yeah,
whoa,
yeah,
are they paying
exactly.
for your rental car?
Right.
We had a good relationship. So he was like, yeah, they're not paying for your rental car. And I was like, no. So he was like, oh no, call them right now, and I called them back and I was able to get them to finally pay for my rental car. But I just accepted it. I didn't know, that they were paying for other people's cars.
Right.
So after that, it was non-negotiable. They knew I will not accept this contract if you don't cover rental car, hotels. And you can even say, when you're somewhere for a long time, living in a hotel is not always as glamorous as it seems. So you may want to request somewhere that is more of like a long-term, like extended stay. You have a fridge, you can cook, things like that.
Right.
One contract I negotiated where I would actually find my housing, and I did an Airbnb, and then they reimbursed me. So you can kind of play around and find a situation that works for you. But you know what I've learned? You have to ask. If you do not ask, they will not. So you have to ask and kind of just be ready, and stand your ground,
Right. The answer is always no until you ask.
Exactly. Yeah.
So interviewing well, your CV, actually maybe even having a sheet. It sounds like maybe having a sheet of all of your accomplishments, where you've worked at, maybe even having some feedback, something that you can give different agencies so they can say, oh, Dr. Williams, she's a pro at this. She's an expert. She's worked in this area. We've gotten this feedback. She's done this. So, because I think that's key because, again, a lot of these agencies, they just want to fill the position, but at the same time, they also want to have good feedback because otherwise offices won't hire them to fill the position. So, they're the people that they send is just it's important for them also. That's what it sounds like. So, wow, this is some good stuff.
Right. Right.
Knowing what you know now in these several years that you've been doing locum tenens or traveling as a dentist, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently?
What would I do differently? I think I would have started doing it earlier. I really think that's the only thing. I would have started doing it earlier. I've kind of, like I said, I kind of work in one office, have a family, and just kind of more responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are young, if you are flexible, just do it. It's something you will not regret. And I mean, it's just nice to be able to say, I've worked here, I've done this. Like, for example, I've worked in now all settings. So pediatric dentistry, general, just treating regular adults. I've worked in nursing homes with geriatric patients. I've gone to private homes and treated patients in their home, patients that are not able to physically go to the dentist. I've worked in prisons. I mean, that's a choice, but it's not as bad as people think. I've worked in every setting you can think of, and I think that it develops a sense of confidence as a practitioner when anywhere you go, you're going to be fine. Like, I'm going to rock this out, and we're going to have a great experience for however long I'm here, and then it's on to the next thing. So I just say do it. I don't know how else I can I can convey that.
Yeah, Doc, I think we just found a new niche for you. Because it's just I have so many ideas that are going through my head right now. Primarily because it's an option. It's a viable career option for a lot of new dentists or just dentists that even seasoned dentists as well. So what advice would you give to any of the pre-dental students, current dental students, residents, or people out there that are looking into dentistry as a career? What advice would you give them, not only about traveling, being a traveling dentist, but just overall in dentistry?
So overall, like I said, I think dentistry is one of the greatest professions you can be in. It's very rewarding. There will always be a job for you. But what I would say is do whatever makes you happy, because in dentistry, you can do that. If you can't find the job that works for you, create it. And that's kind of what I chose to do. The military was a great experience for me, but as you know, I mean, the military kind of owns you. And after that, I just said, I need to be free. Like, I got to be able to just do my own thing for a while. And I chose to, create a path for myself that met my needs at that time. So no matter what you do, I think have a very open mind. When you're in school, I think everyone wants to do ortho, and that normally doesn't happen. But, be very flexible. Go to different offices, make sure you explore all of the specialties, but just keep an open mind, because your path will change so much in dentistry. I think anyone that has practiced will tell you they've done this, and this. Your path changes so much. And I think just now, even just the way dentistry is going, there are going to be way more opportunities for future dentists as well. So just find something that makes you happy. You go to work, you spend a lot of time at work, and you have to feel happy when you go back home, So if something's not working, you find something or you make it, whether that means opening your own office, whether that means, traveling, just whatever that is for you, make sure that it is something that is really bringing you joy.
Wow, that's great. What projects are you currently working on? Do you have any personal and professional projects you want to share that you're working on right now?
I think personally right now, as you know, Dr. Hayes, I've kind of started the series on Instagram where I am doing videos where I'm trying to just really bring a lot of education to patients. One of the biggest things that I see is that a lot of patients are very afraid. We know that. And they shy away from the dentist because they're either embarrassed or they just don't even know what to expect. They're very scared. So I really think it's important for us to bridge the gap with our patients and also bring the value back to dentistry. In the rise of social media, we see all these Instagram ads with whitening online and ortho online and all of these different things. And I think it's really important for us to respect our profession and tell people, let them understand why we have a doctorate degree and why they need to come to us. We are the specialists. So that's a series that I'm kind of working on. We're going to do weekly videos, just talking to people. They're able to DM me. They're able to ask whatever questions, and then I answer them and just, try to open the channel of communication so people don't feel so afraid. Right. And personally, I think opening an office is in the near future, but I actually am enjoying where I am right now. I think with every single position you take, you should be learning something from that position. And I'm learning a lot here. I have an awesome mentor. I'm doing a lot of surgeries and things like that. So I'm going to hang tight for a little while, but an office is definitely in the near future.
Good. So an office and this Instagram patient education series that you have. How can people contact you if they have questions or if they want to follow you on social media or take part of that patient education series that you just launched?
All right, so my IG handle is I stay flossing. So I_stay_ flossing without the G.
I stay.
That is a name I created a very.
Yes, I love it. I stay flossing.
I created that a long time ago. Kind of, yeah.
Love it.
Kind of stuck, so it's here to stay. That is my IG and Twitter handle. Also, I'm on LinkedIn, just Melissa Williams on LinkedIn. I know it's a kind of general name, so type in dentist next to it and I'll come up. Or just by email, melissawilliamsdmd@gmail.com. I love questions. I love talking to students. I love mentoring. So, just don't think that any question is not worth asking. Please contact me if you have any questions at all.
Right. And speaking about mentorship, we're actually going to be working together this summer at the NDA NewDentist conference, where you're going to be one of the panelists. We're going to be talking to NewDentist. So this is kind of like a segue into that panel that's coming up this summer, and also to some mentorship opportunities that fit right into your personal mission. So that's great. So awesome. So we got your contact information. Last 4 questions, and these are the 4 questions we ask everybody that's on the show. We like to have fun, but we also like to learn a little bit more about our guests. So 4 questions. Number 1, what's your favorite day of the week?
Oh, by far it's Monday. I'm off Mondays, so that's my day to relax, reset for the week, plan any cases I have to do, just binge watch some TV if I want to.
Okay. Okay. Good. So Mondays is your favorite day of the week. Second question. What's your favorite food?
Favorite food would have to be a like home grilled cheeseburger. I
Mm,
live for a good burger. If you can make a good burger, we're best friends. Yes.
okay, cheeseburger. Now, do you put ketchup, barbecue, or A1 sauce on your burger?
Ketchup and mustard. Gotta keep it basic.
Okay, ketchup and mustard. Perfect. Third question. What's your favorite dental procedure to do?
So I love all things cosmetic dentistry. So whether it's crowns, veneers, full mouth restorations, within reason, because I'm a general dentist. But I just love when a patient comes in and they're not smiling, they're kind of covering their mouth like this, and when they walk out, they are a brand new person. So that aesthetic zone, canine to canine or premolar to premolar, that's what I love doing, and especially on younger patients who probably didn't really have access to care, and now they're excited and they want to take care of themselves, and just restoring smiles. That's what I love to do.
Wow, nice. Fourth and last question is what's your favorite thing to do outside of work?
I actually love baking. I bake, I decorate cakes, like the huge fondant cakes and things like that. I think all dentists tend to be creative in some way. And I also love just all things beauty. So makeup, hair, just, anything like that. That's what I like to do.
Okay, well, we might have to have you bake a cake and put some dental insignia on it for the meeting when we catch up in July.
I got
Okay.
you.
So, Dr. Williams, hey, thank you so much. This has probably been one of my favorite careers in dentistry episodes because I've learned so much about how to become a traveling dentist and some of the great pearls that you shared with us. I think the main takeaway for me was being able to negotiate, having that skill and knowing that you will have to negotiate. It just makes me think of some of the skill sets we have to have as dentists that really don't have anything to do with dentistry, but more with us as a business. My thought is we are our own business. So with that comes the responsibility of being able to be business professionals, which means negotiating, whether it's your contract, whether it's fees, whether it's even with patients, negotiating and coming up to a place where you can both work together to help them with their oral health needs. So this has been great. Thank you so much. And we might have to do a spinoff of this to go a little bit deeper into some of the other areas that you've have had some expertise in. So thanks so much for joining us and for sharing those answers and sharing those pearls. And for those of you that are out there that want to hear more like this, more information, more tips, and more pearls from our guests, if you have a topic that you want to hear that we haven't done yet, shoot me an email right here at newdentistcoach@gmail.com, newdentistcoach@gmail.com. Hey, Dr. Williams, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And looking forward to working with you this summer, doing some mentorship.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
You're welcome. Thanks so much. All right, take care.
All right, thank you.